Welcome to Coalescence. The world of work is increasingly complex. It's also increasingly intelligent. We have access to so much data, so many resources, so much training opportunity, so many emerging technologies. Yet, teams still break down. People still leave meetings feeling misunderstood or leave their workdays feeling frustrated and wondering, why is this so hard? I'm Jessica Culo, and this podcast is designed to explore the coalescence between human design, leadership, emerging technologies, and business structures. The impact this has on execution and goal achievement is huge. Each episode is designed to look at the patterns underneath behaviors and workplace dynamics and relationships. I think the future of work is not just about technology. It has to intersect with the people side. Before we get started, please review, subscribe, share this podcast with people that you think might find it interesting. It helps us to reach more people and continue to have deep, intelligent, and meaningful human conversations about the complexities in the work world today. Now let's dive into the next episode. Okay, good morning, Tom. Thank you so much for joining me today on this Coalescence Podcast episode.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I want to first start by introducing you. Dr. Tom O'Neill is professor and head of industrial and organizational psychology at the University of Calgary and the Arts Engineering Chair in High Performance Teamwork and Engineering Education. He's the founder of the assessment platform itpmetrics.com, which was commercialized in 2004 with 4 partners. Amazingly, over 1 million individuals and also teams, development feedback assessments have been taken worldwide on this platform. So Tom's research focuses on high performance teamwork in all contexts, ranging from the executive suite to student learning groups, and this has been published in over 100 peer-reviewed journal articles. So a little bit of history and how we connected in the first place. So of course I've shared, I've got 21 years in the staffing and employment industry, and while I still have that company and an amazing team that supports that whole operating business, I've pivoted and launched this Axiom Intelligence organization, where I've been really interested in the way teams work, and where you and I really kind of connected is a passion for helping to create or facilitate more enriching environments for people in team environments, for me, in organizations and in the workplace, and for you as well, but then also the teams within the, academic world. I had originally reached out to some people here at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, and didn't take long for them to say, the guy you need to be connected with is Dr. Tom O'Neill in Calgary. And you were so kind to me and giving me your time and sharing with me your history and what you're passionate about, which I think we really connected on. I remember saying to you, in the employment world, in the staffing world, we often will say we give somebody a new position, often a better position than the one they had, or just a job, period, when maybe they didn't have one before. And we know the first thing after their first day at their new job, when they go home, their partner, whoever they live with, whoever they're closest with, will say, how was your first day? And their answer is always about the people. It's, it's
Funny.
going to be really great. I loved it. The people are awesome. Or I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about the people. And we're hyper aware of that. And so I've just always been thinking, like, there's got to be a way where, we can help in that area. Um, Kind of more of a humorous approach is, why, even when people are trying, why is it so hard sometimes to work with other people? So you and I really aligned on that. And then you told me about ITP metrics. So I thought maybe just to start, you could explain kind of the history there. You're really passionate about it from my experience. And let's just start there. Tell us about it.
Sure. Thanks so much for that introduction as well. I feel warmly welcomed. So the background on ITP metrics, I guess, goes back to the early days of my research lab. I named it the Individual and Team Performance Lab. at the University of Calgary in the Department of Psychology. I'm an industrial and organizational psychologist and happen to specialize in high performance teamwork. And I had been doing research through my master's, PhD, and then as an assistant professor at the University of Calgary, often with student project groups as a kind of test bed to look at my theories and hypotheses before going into industry. There's tons and tons of classes that utilize group work. Students always hate group work. And I thought, this is a good chance to help them develop and enhance their learning experience and support the professors who are having to deal with those things, but also like generate a science and a deeper knowledge of the key factors that differentiate high performing teams and not so high performing teams. And
Mhm.
so with that experience in place, I had realized that I wasn't able to give feedback to the students in real time because I was using paper and pencil surveys, right? This is kind of pre-digital age. And by the time I would process, let's say, 1,000 students, because our engineering program has over 1,000 students in first year, by the time I would have all that manually entered into the
Mhm.
computer and manually calculate all the scores, pre-AI, all that. So this is all manual work. Um, the semester would be over, and I'd just be
Right.
giving some high level feedback to the professor or the instructor, but it was too late for anybody to really benefit in the moment. And we had a pioneering kinda instructor in a second year engineering electrical engineering course where there's group work, they call them it's like design engineering, so groups come together, they have to design something based on the content of the course, and there's always a lot of conflict, and there's always a lot of challenges, and, there's social loafing that happens, as you can imagine.
Explain social loafing.
Well, uh, that is a phenomena where there's a diffusion of responsibility among
Mm.
members of a team or a group. There's a kind of social dilemma at play. Like, how much effort should I put in knowing that everything that I do is a little less than what other people have to do. And so, how do I calibrate my effort and make sure it's fair? Also, maybe somebody else will do it for me. And so why don't I maybe the most logical thing to do being a busy and rational person is wait and see if somebody else takes the lead and does most of the work. When everybody in the group is doing that, then obviously you have a poor performing group and poor outcomes, and then you get into potentially conflict about, well, who is going to do what and why aren't some people so that's what that is. Social loafing, it's a major issue in any group context, and there's obviously lots and lots of ways of managing it, but a lot of people aren't aware that it's a naturally occurring phenomena. and
Hmm.
and so we started with a peer feedback instrument that would allow group members to give round robin feedback. So everybody gives written and quantitative feedback to everyone else. And if you do this, early enough along that they've done some work in the group already, so they have some experience working together, but there's still time to pivot and use that feedback and benefit from that feedback. Like, if I'm not being as active as I could in meetings, I
Mhm.
might not know that, right? So there's a self-awareness opportunity here. And that the peer feedback process is meant to create that self-awareness and give you an opportunity to improve. And you also self-rate, so it gives you a chance to see whether or not you're underestimating or maybe overestimating whatever it happens to be, relative to what your peers or your teammates are saying about you. And
Right.
long story short, this professor agreed to let us pilot this software. I happened to meet someone who's now a lifelong friend, who was an expert software developer. At the time, he was back to school taking nursing because he wanted to do something. He was contributing to humankind a bit more. than
Mhm.
what he was doing in corporate computer science, and he built it, and it was the most basic. I really was a fan of Google's early approach when they first launched, like a very very simple blank landing page essentially, and so that's
Mhm.
all we had. We had a username and password, nothing else. You had no idea. But it was open access. Like anybody could use this. Anybody could register and make an account. Anybody could register and make an assessment and deploy it to other people. No permissions needed. No limits to accessibility. And that's always been a value that we've had, even today,
Mhm.
as we have more than 1 million assessments taken worldwide. We don't want anybody to miss the opportunity to be able to take an assessment and benefit from the assessments, for whatever reason, including cost, right? So it
Well,
remains
it's
free.
free.
It remains free. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So
Yeah, which is amazing. It just shows as a testament to your passion on this.
for sure. But the key, so the key, just to finish my thought there before I forget, as the students were going through the assessment process, I was
Mhm.
in my office with some of my graduate students, and we were seeing the data just come in live, right? In an automated way. And
Mhm.
the report was automatically kicking out the system was automatically kicking out the individualized reports to the students instantly. So they're getting instantaneous feedback. Remember the feedback problem of it being delayed before.
Yep.
So now they were getting it instantly, and I was seeing instantly all their scores too. So I could even see, oh, by the pattern of these scores, we can see like this team's in trouble. They actually need a reach out from a team coach or the instructor or a teaching assistant. Otherwise, like they're going to have real challenges, and sometimes you even see mistreatment, right? And so it gives you a chance to intervene. And
Right.
so I just realized in that moment that this is what, as a lab, we were going to dedicate ourselves to doing. It just
Super cool.
Yeah, it was just so obviously the way. And again, nowadays, like we all think in automation and we all think in AI and machine learning, and it's just natural. But back then it was still very normal to be doing a lot of paper pencil surveys.
Mhm.
Delays were totally acceptable. It was a
Yep.
different world, so we were at the forefront as well. And so I think that that's one of the reasons why we've became kind of the global go-to source for team development assessments,
Uh-huh.
because we were one of the first to do it well. Um, and there's some other reasons too that maybe we'll get into later.
Mhm. So when you talk about the instant feedback, then was it it was a person giving the feedback then to the students in this context, or was it a written report, or how was the feedback delivered?
Yeah, it's all a downloadable PDF style or HTML report, however you
Mhm.
want to look at it. So there's
Right.
no human in the loop, which again, so for speed, that's really
Mhm.
important. And so there's a consolidated report that comes with development feedback that's geared toward different score levels based on the dimensions of what we're assessing, the behavioral competencies that we're assessing, the score pattern, the written comments, and then student, and then there's goal setting supports built into the system to help. Like, what do I do with this?
Right. Do you feel like people are more open to receiving feedback that way? I know as a leader, it's hard to give in-person verbal feedback. People struggle with that, myself included. Also kind of noticed recently that people that get feedback from like an AI or something, they're almost more receptive to it because it's not human to human. Did you see that or do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I don't think we should just replace human to human feedback, but you're
Mhm.
absolutely
Mhm.
right. Most people are not comfortable or well equipped to give
Mhm.
constructive feedback. I mean, people will
Mhm.
normally, just to avoid the discomfort and to avoid possible conflict, or offending somebody and then
Mhm.
damaging the relationship, most people would just probably give neutral, no
Mhm.
feedback or positive feedback, but none of these things actually contribute to growth.
Right.
right? So,
Right. Yeah. No, when it's done well, 100% in person is there's an art to it, and when it's done well, I think it's fabulous, but there
mhm.
is just a little bit more room for error,
Oh, yeah.
misinterpretation. Misinterpretation's a huge thing that I keep seeing and talking about, and I think feedback can be misinterpreted quite a bit. Like, I had gotten advice a long time ago where when giving feedback, it's important to state also what you're not saying, because sometimes the person, especially if it's a difficult conversation, can leave with the misinterpretation of what your point was. And speaking from experience, when taking consideration of feelings, I might soften the feedback when I don't want to be too direct. But then that's the whole like the personality component of your assessments too, which I get, and that self awareness piece there of like, I know I can be direct. I've got to make sure I don't push that too far. And then also, I think what's important is knowing that about yourself, like if say if you're a direct person when you give feedback or just in general in your work environment, you can't use that as just an excuse for no filter
Mm.
or an excuse for like accept me for who I am. This is how he is. I tell it like it is. I've heard people say that before in environments in the work. And that's not I don't think the intention. It's to self-reflect and maybe adjust. We talk about mirroring to other people's styles and whatnot. I think it's important. Sometimes that gets missed. I'm not sure if that's something that ever kind of bubbled to the surface with anything you guys were studying.
No, but it's again, it's another social psychological phenomena that we know, right? The kind of vibe basically that you're giving off tends to be also picked up by the other person. I don't know if that's the kind of mirroring you meant. I mean,
Mhm.
the other
Mhm.
kind is just, good rephrasing to show that you've heard what the person said. But I mean, the whole feedback issue, all th there's so much to all of this that I think is a real undeveloped skill across most people in most organizations, and if it
Mhm.
was, to be addressed, not only would organizations perform way better, like, be far more effective, people would be more productive and engaged, they'd be more profitable as well,
Mhm.
and then, like, it would also contribute to real growth for people, and in terms of those modalities that you mentioned, like, I think the idea is multimodal, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I think it's really good to, give people some kind of static, like, feedback through a report like ours, or if you're a supervisor, and you're gonna be, you received some kind of output, some work from one of your direct reports, and you want to give them some direction, you give some feedback there, and then maybe follow it with a meeting. um
Mhm.
but because a lot of people think, let's just do it only face to face," but now are you maybe catching people off guard? They're not ready for that conversation, and
Yes.
if their brain moves to more of that fight or flight, kind of, thinking, there's no benefit anymore. They're not going to be able to hear you or understand you. And if receiving feedback, particularly some kind of constructive feedback, what could be done better, is unusual, they most likely will go to that with my team. And what we try to advocate for is that feedback should be continuous across modalities all the time. It should be a part of your day-to-day work. uh,
Mhm.
it's about the work, it's normal, and it's not everybody is subjected to it, including you as a supervisor,
Right.
and even in a group context. So it's just normal. It's like, basically, how do we as a group get better? And that is a massive, massive missed opportunity
Com
in my mind.
completely. I see that too in my work. We work my career, I've worked with thousands of companies, and that's very common. An emerging trend that relates to all of this, as well as just, like, psychological safety in the workplace and people having the trust within the teams to give feedback, or else just the interpersonal experiences we have with each other. Do you think environments, whether they be in like the academic world or in private enterprise organizations, do you think workplaces or environments are becoming more psychologically aware or psychologically noisy?
language is absolutely making its way into organizations. There's even some legislation around psychological safety, psychological health, psychological well-being, which can and psychological injury. This is getting attention because this can turn into, people taking leaves of absence and having a right to those leaves of absence because of mental health issues brought about by
Mhm.
things like bullying in the workplace.
Mhm.
So yes, I mean it's for sure, and I think that younger generations are getting educated on these things
Mhm.
way more than maybe you and I did, and
Yep.
we got it more than our parents for sure.
Yep.
Um,
1,000%.
right? Yeah, I mean, you were mentioning your daughter who's 15 now. I imagine,
Mhm.
yeah, you see that probably.
Oh, totally. And a lot of the employees that I get to interact with on a daily basis are younger generations in the workplace. I'm a huge fan of Gen Z. Employ a lot of them. Um, Absolutely, what you're saying though is it's a very common topic of conversation, and there's an onus on employers to contribute to that. So I agree with you. It's not single causality. It's probably different in different environments, but very lots of different contributions to that. The other thing that I've noticed on the same notion is that yes, assessments and obviously ITP metrics is an incredible opportunity and tool for people to use. There are a lot of assessments out there, and different organizations use different ones. Some of them maybe tap into the psychological safety component, the neurodiversity even. But another thing, it's almost a line that I feel like we have to kind of watch is using these assessments. And I don't, the word weaponize is strong, but I've seen that too, where people almost weaponize them in the sense of like, well, this is how I am. You deal with it. And you also have to make sure that you're creating an environment that works for me based on the way I've been assessed. And just kind of personal experiences too. I've seen, and I don't know why we do this. I'm not the only one, but why we'll do the assessments. We feel like we have a deeper understanding of people. There's still interpersonal issues that come about in a group setting, in a teamwork, whether it's that, what did you say, social loafing or, things that come up, or even more outrageous behaviors. And we as leaders, I as a leader have had this experience where I accepted some pretty outrageous social behavior or pretty outrageous interpersonal behavior, knowing, some background on how we work together based on the assessments that we've completed and the 360s and the feedback and everything else. But because the person maybe is a performer, we accept that outrageous behavior. And again, speaking from experience, I really have let my team down in the past by doing that. So I know you talk a lot about like social phenomenons and stuff, and that's something that I've experienced and seen too. So maybe just like a cautionary example of where we're seeking to have a better understanding of people, but there can also be a unintended negative consequence to
Mm,
that, if that makes sense.
mhm. I do think that a lot of assessments produce some insight and a valuable conversation, a conversation that makes people feel good, probably some kind of dopamine happening there. It's kind of like the me search movement, like people want to do research on themselves. So in a way, it's
Research. I
helping.
haven't heard that term.
Yes, we're seeing that more and more. So, which, you wanna do research on things that you are passionate about, um, but there's more and more people just kind of want to. I guess they probably haven't had a good opportunity to really unpack their own experiences and a structured way to do that. So now with some research tools, they can do that. And the assessments can help you with that too, right? But then what happens is, to your point, what do we now do with this information? What is the purpose of this session? If I think you're talking about, um, personality types of assessments or
Mhm.
styles, learning styles, even
Communication
leadership
style.
styles. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I don't think they produce as much benefit as we would like them to. I don't know if I've seen them create a lot of harm necessarily, but what we need to be able to do is like correlate or transfer these into ingredients of high performance teamwork. What does this personality profile mean for us to have the team dynamic that we need in order to perform well? And the other thing is, you would be wise to select on personality. So ideally, this isn't something you're learning after the fact, right?
Hmm.
Like, not just through the interviews, obviously you can do it there, but structure personality tests, as you would know, um, because it really does only take that one bad apple to spoil the barrel. It really
Hmm.
does. And you referred to some interactions you had had and some things that you'd put up with, and I 100% agree that even the peers, the other team members can, if they're again well equipped. Normally they're not, can start addressing bad behavior in the team. But the leader absolutely has to, and that goes for all levels. I've seen it right up in the um, C-suite of really large organizations where where their bad behavior is literally damaging thousands of people in the organization because it's all filtering down, it's all being role modeled by the CEO not addressing it, they're condoning it.
Yeah. And is that the ITP metrics, is that kind of one of the main differentiators then? Is it allows the opportunity for team members to step in and help? Or what
I
would you
think it
say
does
those
open up the
elements?
conversation, exactly,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, we do have a personality assessment in there, and here's where people would benefit from expert coaching, whether that's the leader of the team who's gone and actually taken coaching certifications, or bringing in some kind of expert, or maybe in the organization, there's someone in talent management who can help you with those conversations. What we always try to encourage is people self-declare a couple of strengths along their personality profile that are contributing to making the team effective. And sometimes that even identifies additional role opportunities for them, or a slight change in their role because of the strength they have that maybe they didn't know, that certainly maybe others didn't know. And then on the other hand, they have to declare some areas that could potentially hold the team back. Let's create some awareness that that might be an instinct for you because it is your personality, and let's identify some norms that allow us to call that out, and a goal for you to kind of mitigate it, because there is personality comes in all shapes and sizes. We use the snowflake, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
literally everybody is a little bit different, and
Mhm.
the personality assessments really bring out the specificity there and allow people to, hopefully gravitate toward a better role in their team. And that is one of the crucial factors in high performance teamwork, is having people doing the things that they're best at and that
Yep.
are high value for the team. That's the sweet spot. There's so much wasted time and talent out there because of this mismatch, and because people believe that roles are static. Like, I write a job description and that is just what we need and that is all. That's not, you'll never have a high performing team if that's your mentality.
Right.
It's got to be dynamic. It's always shifting. You're always adapting to the requests that you're getting, the feedback that you're getting in the environment, the dynamics of the market, whatever it is.
Yep.
And if you're not so that's gonna mean people always have to be doing things a little bit differently.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I see that all the time. And then talking too about like the younger people coming into the, academic world or the working world. Actually, I'm curious on your opinion on this too. I got to talk to Dr. Jody Carrington recently, and one of a real important thing that she's talking about is the younger generations are losing this skill. They're losing this ability to be dynamic. They're losing the ability to properly interpret interpersonal conversations or cues or what have you, based on the emergence of technology and how much that's impacting their worlds. ITP metrics and the team philosophy you have is more important than ever when it comes to the younger generations and the unique perspective. And obviously, the research base, the scientific base is unique, but the other unique perspective is it truly is coming from a team point of view rather than just this is who I am. It's all encompassing. I think it's more important than ever for the younger generations to experience this type of perspective.
Yeah.
Do you have, opinions or experience or thoughts on, what the emerging workforce looks like, whether that be coming out of university post-secondary or going into post-secondary?
Yeah, I nothing other than anecdotals. I don't, like, track the data specifically. I mean, I was
Mhm.
talking to an employer a couple of months ago, and they said, they're struggling because they're feeling like it's hard to connect with the younger generation, and we've
Mhm.
always had this challenge, across
Mhm.
generations, right? Our parents, again, would probably say that about us, and my
Yeah,
parents certainly would. So that's
totally.
normal. In this case, part of the challenge seems to be just the connection to technology, so, they were, again, anecdotally sharing, that, um, finding that a lot of people they wanna hire, they just have a hard time, like, making eye contact, um, shaking hands, and looking away from their phone even when they're,
Uh-huh.
like, sort of just meeting somebody or being trained on the job, that they're just, like, not really comfortable for whatever reason, and we have to remember
Mhm.
too that the pandemic had all kinds of effects on people
Yeah,
that are still being discovered.
yeah.
Like, I don't like to point the finger at any one generation. It's just kind of things evolve over time, and we all have to work together, and the new generation's going to push, boundaries, every generation pushes boundaries in ways that can be quite helpful, I think. I think they have, either a more realistic expectation of
Yeah.
work and one that might be more, conducive to a healthy lifestyle. So
Mhm.
that also is, as challenging as that is for maybe other generations because we might not appreciate that, as much, it's a step in the right direction
I
probably.
agree, it's the way it's going, for sure. Well, I have a bunch of takeaways. I know other people that run organizations and lead teams well as well. I think kind of almost a comforting thing is sometimes we think when we're leading people, it's hard. It's hard to lead people, but um, oh, it's just me. This challenge I'm having with my team is just me. But you've really kind of outlined that no, there's a lot of data. There are these social phenomenons that you have names for that maybe I wouldn't just in running a company. But it's more. Common and just natural. The way we humans are wired. It's a result that we all see in different ways. So I think that's kind of comforting. A few terms I had never heard before. Then would you say me research?
Me
Is
search.
that one? Me search. Yeah, and loafing I'd never heard before. That a great reminder as an entrepreneur. You hear all the time feedback is so important. Real time feedback is so important. It's such an easy thing to forget. And so I think having a tool or a resource that can prompt you with that is so valuable. And you joke, people say they want feedback, but they don't. They do. They want feedback when it's given properly. I think generally across the board, and that's even our personal lives as well. As parents, we cool question to ask your nieces or nephews or your kids is, how am I doing? I've asked my kids that when they're younger. That's really comical answers, but I think it's something that we forget. So really, really cool point. I think ITP metrics is an incredible resource, and it's so cool that you've made it available to people. Truly, just from your passion on making environments better and more fulfilling for people. So I want to thank you for everything you shared. One final question. Uh, can you share something that you're working on right now that is really energizing for you?
That's a great question. I think what's bringing me the most purpose and meaning in my work right now is working on the prevention of serious injuries and fatalities in the
Mm,
workplace. It's a new chapter of my research, and also a new chapter for ITP metrics because it's still behind the scenes for now, but we've
Mhm.
created a new assessment for supporting um, the accurate, reliable, and valid measurement of organizational safety culture
Mm.
along a model called the 3 Ls, which is learning, leading, and looking after.
Hmm.
And so it's really bringing the people dynamics into the safety equation because I ended up getting $1.25 million in funding because of a fatality at uh, a work site in Alberta. And now my team and I work with the next of kin to try to use that money to help companies actually make positive change. And just being able to work with the widow, I mean, the guy was 26, so they
So
were
sad.
young, the parents, and give them some comfort that this won't happen again because of how we're doing this work. That has been the most rewarding thing for me lately.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. I don't think I've met anybody that bridges science to the business world or the working world like you have. So, excited to talk more with you going forward, but really I want to thank you so much for spending time with me this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll talk to you soon, Tom.
Sounds good for sure, Jess.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Coalescence. If the topic resonated with you, please subscribe so you don't miss another episode. If you felt there was value in the conversation and the topic we explored, it really helps us if you share the podcast with people on your leadership team, other colleagues, friends, anyone that you think has interest in learning about meaningful dynamics in the workplace. You can also connect with me on social media if you would like to continue the conversation. Stay curious, stay thoughtful, pay attention to the patterns underneath performance, people, and cultures. Understanding modern work requires looking at things through multiple lenses. It's where human design, leadership systems, emerging technologies all intersect. Thanks for being here. See you next time on Coalescence.